I thought I was very clever, checking in daily, checking in weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. At one point, I was running my life like a business. I have completely up-leveled my goal setting for 2025, and it feels so liberating. I think this is the first year that I have felt absolutely no pressure around achieving my goals. I feel like I have a clear strategy. It all feels aligned, and I'm just looking forward to the new year. So I thought, now that I finally cracked the code, why not share it with you guys? So in this video, I will be sharing with you all of the mistakes that I have made in the past when it comes to goal setting. And trust me, I have been repeating the same ridiculous cycles for years and years. So I'll be sharing with you things that have absolutely not worked, and I'll be sharing with you my new strategy. So things that I have been testing out for a few months now. I have been changing my routines gradually, and towards the end of this year, I just took the pressure off. I decided, you know what, I'm not working towards achieving a single goal. I really want to perfect my routines. I really want to perfect my strategy so that going into the new year, I can absolutely be certain of success, because I feel like I've kind of been repeating the same cycle for a few years now. So I really wanted to correct that and have a solid foundation from which to build on. So if this is your first time seeing me, my name is Regine, and I love creating content all around how you can raise your self-awareness to elevate your life. I also share lifestyle videos where I give you an insight into my own personal up levels and things that I'm working on. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, stick around, make sure you subscribe, and let's get into today's video. Okay, so mistake number one, my biggest issue by far. I have finally conceded that I've had the complete wrong approach. My biggest issue is that I tried to tackle every area of my life in one go. And I have heard so many people tell me not to, friends, mentors, people online. Everyone says focus on one thing. And I thought that I could focus on everything and find success. But of course, that was not the case. Every time I would get overwhelmed, and I gave this a good go. Like, I tried different strategies, I tried different ways of doing this. It all resulted in the same thing. I became overwhelmed. It felt like too much of a big task. We have to consider psychology and how our brain works with these things. So nobody likes change. We're all resistant to change, right? That's part of being a human being. We like what's comfortable. We like what's familiar. Even though we want new things in our lives, even though we have these goals, we still prefer what's comfortable. And that's just part of our psyche, right? So you have to work with your mind in that sense. You almost need to trick yourself, because if you say, okay, I'm changing everything in my life, your brain does not interpret that as, oh my gosh, we're getting a brand new life. This is going to be amazing. Your brain starts thinking, no, this is scary. This is unknown. We're changing everything. I don't know what's going to happen. This isn't predictable. I'm not doing it. I'm going to do everything in my power to sabotage this, hence self-sabotage, so that this doesn't happen, so that we can stay comfortable and know exactly what's going to happen next. That's the only thing our brain is interested in, knowing what's happening next, trying to predict the future. And so whenever you try to introduce change, it's very difficult, right? And so it needs to be in incremental steps. It needs to be in subtle ways. It needs to be tied to different things so that your brain can kind of gently see that, okay, I can move a little, I can change a little. This isn't dangerous. You almost have to treat it like a child. It's like reparenting yourself. It's introducing things slowly. It's like when you're weaning a baby, right? I've never weaned a baby, but I imagine this is what you do. You introduce things little by little, then you build on it. This is the lesson I've learned. It's taken me many years to learn it. I thought I would be the exception. I tried to completely go against this because I wanted to change everything all at once, and I wanted this small revolution in my life, and all it did was keep me stuck. Because I would start this big thing at the start of the year, I would go around in all these circles, and I would end up exactly where I started, only 1 year later, 1 year older, and more time lost. And so I've finally given up. I finally realized I was able to make some progress in one area. And then I was like, oh my gosh, all of my focus has been on this one thing for this short space of time, and I've actually moved the needle. So rather than thinking, okay, in this year, I'm going to work on 12 things and I'm going to move the needle even a little bit in these 12 things, you're spread too thin, your attention is not concentrated, and so you're not actually getting anywhere. You're competing with yourself for attention, you're not clear on your vision. You could still work on 12 things in one year, but if you broke that down into one thing each month and you really focused on one thing, you would find that you have much better results because you're able to go deep, you're able to concentrate fully, have tunnel vision on this one thing and put all of your resources, all of your time, all of your effort. We underestimate the mental capacity it takes to focus on something like this and to incorporate new habits or try to start new projects on top of everything that we're doing in life. And so if we make it easy for ourselves by having this one focus, we can then see that we can get so much further. Everything that we do will compound on each other and we're much more likely to see results. And then that motivates you because then you see, okay, I focused on this thing, I achieved this goal, now I see that it's possible, so let me do it again, let me do something else. Whereas I was trying to focus on so many things at once, obviously failing, then becoming demotivated and thinking, oh, well, nothing's going right, and becoming unhappy because of that, and then sort of spiraling negatively and comfort eating or numbing on social media, anything to distract myself, to make myself feel better temporarily, which then leads to other things because then you fall off, maybe you gain some weight, and then you feel even worse about yourself, and then you think you're so much further from your goal than you even started, and then it takes even more effort, and then it just spirals and becomes this massive thing. Whereas if you take little chunks of this big goal, focus on this one thing, eventually you will chip away, eventually you'll see progress that will motivate you, you'll have a positive spiral, and you'll just keep going. I think the most dangerous thing actually about repeating these cycles is you have that sense of going backwards. So you're stuck in this loop, you're constantly repeating this same cycle, and as you do that, you're ending up at the same point that you started, so you're not making progress, but it seems as though you're going backwards because it seems as though everybody else is moving forward, right? And largely because lots of people who are able to make progress understand that you can't overwhelm yourself. They understand that it needs to be slow, it needs to be steady, it needs to be incremental. So when you're seeing that other people are progressing, but you're seeing that time is passing and you're staying in the same place, it actually makes you feel as though you're going backwards. And that's a very dangerous place to be in. So this is why it's very important to actually address this. And this is exactly why I decided to slow down in order to accelerate in a better way. So I really looked at what I was doing wrong, try to understand the root of the problem, why I was in this cycle, so that I could break it, and then so that I could launch myself forward. And I really feel like I have nailed this now. And the reason I wanted to share this is because these practices, these things that I have realized don't just apply to me. So I know that I am not unique. I'm not the only one who struggles with this, but the great thing is that these strategies, this new way of doing things is applicable to everyone. So there is flexibility in there where you can make it your own and customize it to suit your own lifestyle, but the principles remain the same. And so I'm really excited to share this with you. And so let's continue. Let's get into the other things I was doing wrong, because there are quite a few. And then we'll talk about how I've changed things and the new way of doing things. Okay, so what else was I doing wrong? So not only was I trying to change lots of different aspects of my life, for instance, I was trying to work on my health, on my mindset, I was starting different projects, different businesses, further my career, social life, all of these things. But within each category, I also had like 10, 12 goals. Speaking about it now, it's absolutely ridiculous, like what I was trying to do. I don't know who I thought I was. And on top of that, so this was one of my strategies that I thought I was very clever and that I would be able to manage all of this because I became the spreadsheet queen. I had a spreadsheet for everything. All of these ways of tracking my progress, my starting point, my checkpoints, my ultimate goal, ways of journaling about how that journey was going, checking in daily, checking in weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. At one point, I was running my life like a business. I would have meetings with myself as though I was running a massive corporation and every aspect of my life was a different department. I had a finance department and different finance meetings. I had a HR department and different meetings around my social life, people in my life. I had a facilities department looking after everyday things and how all of that was going. I'm laughing now because it's utterly ridiculous, and no wonder I haven't made as much progress as I could have. But anyway, we've learned from this, right? And now you don't have to make this mistake because I have simplified everything for you. So the next big thing was that I was very unspecific about my goals. This was a little bit more nuanced, actually. It wasn't so obvious. I had all of these goals, but they were very willy-nilly. They weren't obvious. I wouldn't even know when I had reached the goal. They were very unspecific. To give you an example, it would be like, this year I want to lose weight. What does that mean exactly? Do I lose weight in January, but then I can gain weight for the rest of the year? Like, is that successful? Is that not successful? Do I want to lose 1 pound? Do I want to lose 3 stones? It was difficult to nail down exactly what I was going for. It wasn't measurable. And I think the last thing that I want to touch on as well is that a lot of my goals were tied to things that were beyond my control. And so it doesn't set me up for success. It's not the best way of structuring a goal. So an example of this is that I would set myself certain goals with my YouTube channel. So I would say by this date, I want this many subscribers. Now, that is not a goal that is dependent on me because I'm reliant on people subscribing, right? So a better goal that I could set for myself would be every week, I want to upload this many videos because that's totally within my control and that is something that I can action and I'm not setting myself up for failure. And so, like I said, there are lots of mistakes I made, lots of things I did wrong, but I think these are the key things and that I think may be common. So chances are, if you're still watching this video, one of these things resonates with you. So comment down below if that's the case. But now let's move on to all the things I'm changing. Obviously, I will be doing the complete opposite of what I have been doing. So I'll give you some examples of that, but also some other, let's call them filters, that I have now used to make sure that my goals are aligned with the lifestyle that I want to create, and filters that I think are applicable to everyone and may be useful to you also.